Well, hello everybody. Yes, it's me, Bob Van Buren, back from a 2 week absence. No, I didn't get killed. No, I wasn't sick or anything. But no, I had to take a little hiatus from the show for a couple of weeks. But I'm back now, and I'll actually have an announcement about Van Buren Variety for next week. So if you want to know what that announcement is, tune in next week. Appreciate you all being here. Have a great guest as always that I've had on this show. This is episode 130. Man, 130 guests on this show. 130 different topics. Where does the time go? So hope you've all had a great week. Kind of getting over some anxiety and stress that I mentioned about a month ago. So still got it. Trying to deal with a few things, but we'll get through it. So I appreciate all the prayers and the concern, the phone calls that I've got over the last 2 weeks. So that's all I've got. Like I said, hope you've all had a great week as well. And I got a question for you. How would you be interested in some art and some 3D magnets, specifically cryptid and Bigfoot related? Well, if you are, or have been thinking about it, I've got the right guy to talk to tonight. So let me bring him on right now. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you to Mike Porter. Mike, welcome to the Van Buren Variety Show.
Hey, Bob. Nice to be here. Appreciate it.
Now, I introduced you as a person that does art and 3D magnets. Kind of tell us about your style.
Cool. Well, I've been doing art for a very long time. I started drawing, I think, when I was 5 or 6 years old and haven't stopped. I worked in the video game industry for 23 years, and then I also taught video game development in New Zealand on a bachelor's program. I was the program leader for the bachelor's program. I've been teaching for the last 5 years at SMU Guildhall, which is in Dallas, on a master's program. I'm a thesis advisor, and I've been making cryptid art, probably since I was like 16 years old. So
16, wow.
Yeah, just drawing Bigfoot and Loch Ness Monster and things like that. And recently, when I got back from New Zealand, I started doing my magnets, sculpting the magnets in New Zealand. I had a school that I started named, it was called Skill Tree, and it was about building and creating practical art and effects for video games and for movies and stuff like that. And I was teaching that and would have like great guest teachers come in and teach stuff. And then I started building those there. But then as soon as I moved home, I was really wanting to go to all the cryptid events. And so I started building magnets to sell.
That's good.
And it's sort of expanded from there. So started off with magnets, and I've expanded to hats, shirts, coasters. I'm sure at some point in time I'll have light masks and things like that.
That'll work. Well, you mentioned just now that you started creating your art and your 3D magnets when you were 16. Let me ask you this. When did you get interested in Sasquatch, Bigfoot, and cryptids? When did that start? Or how did it start?
Yeah, so it started when I watched, of course, I saw the Patterson-Gimlin film. And I was born in 66, so obviously that was like earlier than when I was born that happened. But in the 70s, I watched The Legend of Boggy Creek.
Oh, love that movie.
That's one of my favorite movies. And since then, I've just been fascinated. I spent a lot of time reading when I was a kid. I was very sick when I was much younger, and I've outgrown it, and I feel great now. But when I was a kid, I was always sick, and so sort of spent a lot of time in the house, and I read just about everything I could find. And it was all those mysteries of the unknown and unexplored and all that stuff that really captivated my attention. Anything to do with the esoteric and the strange.
Hey, that's perfect. Hey, that's a great. I've been going to a lot of these conventions lately because of my best friend Tex, who has Tex's Front Porch. Hey, there's that plug-in right there.
There you go.
So that's very, very interesting. But I want to promote you as well. I'm going to bring up. You have a website.
I do.
That I want to bring up. It's called cryptidcuriosities.com. Gentlemen, that's all one word, cryptidcuriosities.com. So, Mike, if someone goes to your website, what all will they see there?
So let me explain first the name, because it is absolutely misspelled. and I'll tell you the reason why.
Oh, I just now noticed that.
Someone has parked cryptid curiosities, and I refuse to spend $1,200 on a vowel. So, yeah. So cryptid curiosities,
Curiosities, yes.
curiosities. You know, like a lot of times when you hear these news reports, they have people from the country talking about like, I done seen him. He's a Bigfoot. He was out in the woods. So I just thought like that would add to the flavor of that. And if you see the patch or the stickers that I create, like you'll see that there's a little apostrophe, CUR apostrophe OSITIES.
Mm-hmm.
So on the website, I have LED signs,
Really? Okay.
hats, shirts, magnets, some journals. I'm trying to think, mugs, iPhone and Android covers.
All right.
So I'm just trying to expand as much as I can. But what my passion is really like the 3D sculptures that I'm
All
doing.
right.
And so the other stuff is sort of like ancillary. I love, I'm wearing like a paranormal roundtable shirt right now. So I wear a Bigfoot shirt every day, and I'm a university professor. So this is how I go to school.
That's perfect.
And so I just wanted to create more things that were Bigfoot related that anybody could wear. And I try to add a little bit of humor to some of them. So, for instance, I have a stash squatch, which is I think I've sent you the picture of that one.
Let's see if I got that one.
The
Stash Squatch?
Yeah, the Burt Reynolds of the woods, if you will.
I got it. I looks like I got
It should be the picture with the two people with the black
two
shirt on.
people. Okay, I'll bring that up. Here you go. I'll let you describe it.
Yep. So
That's it?
That's it. Stash Squatch, the Bigfoot, the Burt Reynolds of the woods. So you get that
I like that.
big heavy mustache. I also have one which I haven't sent you. It's called Slash Squatch, which is Slash from Guns N' Roses, but a Bigfoot as well. So
That is awesome. I like that. Stash Squatch. I like that.
so I just try to inject a little bit of humor in it, and then with the 3D magnets, what I try to do is I get like reports from people, or I read reports of descriptions, and I try to match those as closely as possible. So on my table, I think if you went to, I believe that you were at the Paranormal Roundtable Dogman Conference, and that's where I saw you. I have like 3 or 4 different types of Bigfoot. One is the Patterson Gimlin type.
Is this the one?
No, that's a Dogman. I didn't send you a picture. I'm sorry. So let's see. In that image,
That's you at the table. Is that the last convention?
this was at a dark art gallery opening
Okay.
at a cotton mill in McKinney.
Okay.
That happened last October.
I see a lot of your work there on the table. Looks good.
Yeah, I could probably send you another one, but I won't do it right now. But
Okay.
basically, there's the Patterson Gimlin type Bigfoot. There's ones they call wood boogers that have a slightly different appearance.
Mm-hmm.
There's Alabama White Thang, which has a different appearance. So each one of those I try to make unique. And one of the guys that I talked to, he said, he goes, I appreciate each one of these because you really capture an expression that's not terrifying, but it's also it's realistic in how it would look at you if you came across it. So I try to instill as much. I don't try to go over the top with my magnets. I try to keep those fairly accurate, and then everything else I sort of like do a little bit of exaggeration on.
Sure. Well, I'm going to play this again. I'll show this again. What was this here? It says Dogman on there.
Yeah, so this is a sketch that I made. There is this concept of these werewolf-like beings that are being seen in all over the country, and Dogman is one of the descriptions. It's a werewolf-looking creature with very long ears that has a really evil grin, and so I tried to capture that. This in particular is a coaster that I've made. I have a laser engraver and a 3D
Oh, it's a coaster.
printer.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's that one in particular is not varnished, but the ones that I sell are varnished with a really heavy urethane, so there won't be any water damage to them. But all of my cryptids are on these sort of like pine coasters that I make, and then I also have UFO themed ones that are on ceramic.
Oh, okay.
Ceramic coasters.
They look really, really good.
Thank you.
I personally have never seen a dog man. I'm sure I'd faint dead away if I ever did.
Well,
I know someone who has though.
I know your friend Tex.
Yeah.
He actually gave me his description of the dog man that he saw, and I've illustrated that and sent it to him, and he said it gave him goosebumps. So
Oh boy, you did a good job of that for sure.
thank you.
And then let's see, let's show another. You got some hats out there too.
That's right. Yeah, so I sell hats. I do the graphic design. I used to be a graphic designer in a previous life, and
Okay.
so I do all of my own artwork, um, the graphic design elements, and then I use a printing service. So these
Mm-hmm.
are all printed on demand, or the embroidery is done on demand through the website.
Okay. And I got one more here to show everybody.
Well, thank you.
I like this one.
Yeah, yeah. So I have also one that's very similar to this called Cryptid Researcher, and there's a variety of colors. It's not just this. There's a bunch of different varieties. So there's like camo ones, and there's the gray ones as well. And each patch is slightly different. So I try to keep everything as unique as I can. That way, when people buy it, it's sort of like they have their own thing. And I also sell like little acrylic pens and things like that that
Oh,
you can
that's
put on
cool.
as well.
Well, tell me about your 3D magnets. How do you make them 3D? I mean, what all goes into your magnets?
Sure. So I use this program called ZBrush. It's used in the game development industry. It's
Hmm.
a 3D sculpting package, and I used it for years inside the game industry. It's a relatively new software, but it's something that allows you to sculpt organically. It's made by a company called Pixel Logic, and after I've sculpted that in 3D, I have to uh, run this algorithm on it, which reduces the amount of polygons that you have. It's called decimation. And then I output that as an STL file that I can then take into a 3D printer. And the 3D printer will output, I have a sample here of one of the 3D printed outputs here. So,
Oh, look at that.
oops, I just dropped it. There we go.
Okay, there we go. Let's get a close up of that. Yeah. Look at that. Oh man, that's great.
So this is the output that I would get. And then what I'll do is I'll use silicone and make a mold out of that.
Hmm.
And then I'll cast it with a two-part epoxy resin, which is just basically liquid that has a chemical reaction and turns into hard plastic. And then afterwards, I will sand the back of those, drill a hole, put a magnet, and then I prime every one of them and hand paint them.
Wow, that's more talent than what I have.
It's a lot of busy work after you get the design done. It's not very creative after that point, other than putting the paint on, just trying to make each one of those unique as well. The challenge with selling those on the website, if somebody says, I want that color right there, it's never going to happen because that one's probably already been sold. And so there's going to be one that's similar, but there's not going to be one exactly the same. Everyone should be unique.
Right. Do you get these ideas from other people? Do you just think these up? Do you see something in a book maybe, or how do you get your ideas for some of these
So
artwork?
so some of them are I just make up. Like I said, I had a pretty active imagination as a kid,
Hmm.
reading lots of fantasy and sci-fi novels. Um, some of them I like. I have this one, which is my representation of a redneck Jersey devil. It's called Beelzebubba. He's got like a hat on. He's got buck
Hmm.
teeth and the horns. Um, and so the ones that there's some that I listen to or read experiencers descriptions of, and then there's other ones I just make up based on a theme. So the Alabama White Thing, for instance, and it's spelled Thang. So
Thing.
Alabama White Thing. Um, the description is that it's a monkey and a cat mixed together, like it has features from both a cat and a monkey.
Wow.
And so I've tried to capture that through the sculpture, like giving it sort of like a bobcat muzzle and then like
Hmm.
some ape features as well. So, and sometimes it's really difficult to find good descriptions of these things. And so I have to take some, or consistent descriptions of these things. And so I have to kind of take some liberties. I have another one
Sure.
that I've sculpted, and it's called a woodwose, which is
Oh
it, it's
wow. Look at that.
it's basically in the UK, it's their version of Bigfoot, which is the wild man of the woods. or a green man is commonly known as well. And so, you read the information on those things. They're very primitive looking humans with wide noses and lots of hair and very wild looking. And so, there's only so much you can. There's no photograph, and so you have to sort of like fill in the features based on your understanding of anatomy and looking at pictures of animals and that sort of thing. So I try my best to get as close as humanly possible to what those were without actually seeing them myself. I would love to see one, but I haven't yet.
Not yet. I was going to ask you now, with your website, do you sell just in the U.S. or can you sell internationally?
I haven't set up international shipping yet, just because shipping
Okay.
is so expensive, which is
Mm-hmm.
the problem. I mean, it wouldn't be that hard for me to set that up, though.
Okay.
It's the problem is not the pricing of the object. The problem is the pricing of the shipping.
The shipping. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
sure.
because like my daughter lives in New Zealand, and we sent her a package that cost 2 times as much as what the object itself cost.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh, no.
yeah. So it was like paying 3 times for the same thing.
Oh, man. If you
Yeah,
don't mind, Mike, I'm going to share my screen
sure.
and just kind of show show the people your website.
Great. I
So
appreciate that.
let me bring that up right now. Let's see if I can share this and do it right.
Perfect.
Okay. Can you see that?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Okay. Let me see if I can bring it up even more. Let's see.
So that one right in there, right in the middle with the yellow hat, that's Beelzebubba.
That's Beelzebubba. Okay. That is perfect.
And you'll see the alien there on the
Yeah.
coaster,
Mm-hmm.
and
That's a
also
coaster. Oh, I see it. Yeah.
and it's ceramic. So there's a set of 4 that are engraved the same way. Now the one on the left-hand side at the top there, that's the Alabama white thing.
That's the white thing.
Yep.
Okay. Let me see if I can scroll down here if we can see some more. Oh, you got quite a bit.
Yep.
Okay. Here's that.
Yeah. So those are the coasters and the acrylic pins, and then also the drawing there that's on the phones. That's an older illustration that I did
Mm-hmm.
of a Dogman, and I have those 2 in shirts. So there's if you go to apparel at the top of the screen there,
Okay. Let's see if I
yep,
can go to apparel. There they
there you
are.
go. And if that very first one is Slash Squatch,
That's Slash Squatch. Oh,
yeah,
okay. We can't really see on the screen, but yeah, ladies and gentlemen, you can go to his website and you can definitely see it there. So get a better picture of it.
and then the yellow, the black tank tops with the yellow on it, and
Uh huh.
then right below that there should be the same image but in blue. So I just took 2 of those and sort of um, there you go, right there.
Yeah. Oh wow, that all looks good.
Thank you.
Is that a onesie? The one on the bottom left?
Yeah, that's a onesie for a kiddo.
Oh wow.
So I call that chibi Bigfoot. There's a style of anime, Japanese anime called chibi, which usually has like really short legs and arms and like a larger head. And so I did my version of Bigfoot that way.
Oh wow. I'm looking at your LED signs too.
There you go.
Oh, look at the. Tell us about that. You had some at the last convention.
I did.
So tell us about this. They're LED.
Yeah. So I have a friend that I'm working with. His name is Joe Graziano.
Mm-hmm.
And he lives up in Seattle. I have a laser engraver, but he has an industrial laser engraver. So basically, I come up with the designs, and then he cuts out the acrylic material and does the laser engraving for me. So we split the profits on these. But basically, it's just a few designs that I came up with. The Flatwoods Monster, which is a really interesting tale of I think a 7 to 8 foot tall spade-headed alien.
Oh.
There's the Mothman, and then Hunting Legends is sort of, you know, everybody's trying to track down a Bigfoot, and I think that's really interesting concept.
Mm-hmm.
That if you could catch a legend, what would you do with it?
Yeah.
And then there's the Sasquatch experiencer, or I'm sorry, the Bigfoot Whisperer or Sasquatch Whisperer. So like somebody that's a friend of Bigfoot, and then I have Spring Hill Jack, which is another UK cryptid
Mm-hmm.
or a humanoid, I guess would be a better term. And during the 1800s, when Jack the Ripper was around, there was also this character named Spring Hill Jack who was evade the police. He would attack people in the street, and he would evade the people in the street, the police, by jumping from the street level 2 stories up to the top of a house.
Oh man!
And then bounce off away from them on the rooftops, spewing fire from his mouth. So
wow.
So kind of like a devil, Faustian sort of representation of a devil that I guess was at the same time that Jack the Ripper was running the streets.
It's pretty spooky.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to skip over. You've also got an Instagram account, don't you?
I do.
I'll go ahead and share that, and you can tell us about this.
I appreciate that. Yeah, so you'll see a little bit of the process here. You'll also notice that I like to eat, so I make. I'll have a lot of food in there, so like pizzas and things that I've baked. And
Nothing wrong with that.
No. So at the top there on the left-hand side is the table at the last event that shows most of my work represented, and you'll see the next picture over. That's the and these are videos, so you can take a look at those at your leisure. But you'll see the representation of what that blank resin magnet looks like before the painting process. So it's just like
I see it.
A light color. And then on the right-hand side there, you'll see the coasters, and I've been putting varnish on them. I get like 2 or 3 layers of varnish per side, so they're really nice and watertight, so you won't have any problems with any of the leaking or separation.
Well, if you said it's a video, I'd like to play one of these videos if you said it's okay. Let's play one and see what it looks like.
For sure.
Oh, if we can see it good here. Let's see.
I don't know if there's a way to enlarge that. And
yeah,
I'll
I
just
don't think
do
I
a
can
really
enlarge
quick
it. Yeah.
look around, and you can see it's quite a large event area. Lots of cool stuff, books, things of that nature, some readings, psychic readings, and stuff like that. And then they have a lot of Nick Redfern's here, who's the author and been on TV for Ancient Aliens and other places. Yep, so I think we got everything looking good. I forgot my clothing rack, so I have to bring that tomorrow. All my coasters, my magnets, and I just made this display stand for my magnets, which seems to be working okay. There you go.
Looks good to me. Wow. Where was that at now?
So this was this last weekend. It was called the We Are Not Alone in the Universe Expo.
Where was that at?
It was in Grapevine, Texas, at the Grapevine Convention Center. Mm-hmm.
Okay. You got any upcoming events that you're going to be attending pretty soon?
So I've been invited. I'm just going to pull out this in my back pocket.
Okay.
So I've been invited to this event called the Samhain Spooky Season, which is at Studio V&V, which is in Addison, Texas.
I know where that's at. Yes.
And it's Sunday, October 29th from 7 to 9:30 p.m. So it's just like a real quick, Halloween sort of celebration.
You say right before Halloween, yes.
That's right. And it's going to have some people who are healers, crystals, sell crystals and things like that. They're going to have costumes, artists, and people who do palm reading and also psychic readings.
Wow.
So it's kind of a mixed bag of...
For everybody.
Yeah, it's for everybody.
What would you say you're more... I mean, you're interested in cryptids, obviously, but do you also... I mean, are you interested in, like, not just cryptid, but, like, the paranormal, aliens, etc.? Does that also spark your interest?
Yeah, I've had some interesting experiences with some paranormal experiences.
I have too.
And there was a UFO experience, which I guess somebody could explain away, but my brother-in-law and I were on a driveway setting up a telescope, and it was one of those ones that you could check the night sky and sort of align it electronically with the night sky. Mm-hmm. And I was like, that star is not supposed to be there, and I pointed at it, and when I pointed at it, it just took off.
Wow. Ooh.
So that was pretty interesting. And then I've had quite a few ghost things happen. One was a black mass that rushed up on me. So which was a little terrifying. But
Do you feel like telling that story? Or is that too spooky
no,
for you?
I can for sure. So my daughter, this is when we moved to New Zealand. We lived in a 100-plus-year-old house
Oh wow.
in a town called St. Heliers, in right off the this little bay, Taranaki in Auckland, and so she had a night terror and was waking up screaming and said somebody was on top of her, and I think she was 16 at the time, and so I was like, all right. And my son was much younger. He's like, yeah, I've been having problems too. And I was like, okay, let's have a ghost hunt. And so I went through the process of, I just wanted to like dispel their fears, right?
Hmm.
And so I went through the process and took pictures, and we asked questions and had a recorder, and we got through with it. And they were like, I said, see, nothing happened. They're like, yeah, nothing happened. And they were kind of okay. I was like, all right, y'all go to bed. And then they went to bed, and I turned off the lights. And when I turned off the lights, we had this really large living room that led into like a kitchen that had French glass French doors,
Hmm.
and they were open, and there was this solid black mass in the doorway, and I stopped to look at it, and it rushed all the way up to my face, like immediately. And I won't use the choice words that I use.
Family show.
That's right. I won't use the choice words that I use, but basically I told it that it wasn't allowed to be in my house, and it was certainly not allowed to touch my children or to mess with my family. And it just sort of like dissipated. But
Wow.
it was terrifying for sure, but I was more angry that it had messed with my children than I
Of
was at
course.
being scared for myself. So, yeah. Um, but yeah, no, I say I had no cryptid experience, but there was two things that happened that I can't explain. So
Let's hear it. We'd love to hear it.
one was a friend of mine who's passed now, sadly. He and I worked at Microsoft on a video game, at a video game company within Microsoft. And we were working at this building in Redmond, and right behind that building, there's this greenway. Like they have these patches of forest that nobody can build on. And this particular greenway had a rifle range at the top, so nobody lived up there for sure. And it was 2:30 in the morning, and he was smoking, and we were talking before we both went home. And there was like the loudest, most angry, crazy scream that came from that hillside. Um, and I like, Bigfoot, and he goes, Bigfoot. And that was pretty much it. Um,
Wow.
I don't want to be like the instantaneously go into the most illogical choice, but I don't. Certainly wasn't a mountain lion, which the only other thing that would make a noise like that would have been a mountain lion, but it was way larger feeling than that.
Wow.
And then was driving down 5 going north, past Seattle, and there's this giant river, and I can't remember the name of the river. It was either Snohomish or Skykomish or one of the Omishes. And it was middle of November, so it was very cold. And I saw this big shape walking through the water, and the water was up to its thigh, and I know that water was deeper than it'd probably be up to my chest, I would say at least. And I saw it walking right down the middle, and there's like huge amount of traffic, so it wasn't like it was. I think because that's so far down in there, and people don't pay attention when they're driving anymore. I just happened to be a passenger in the car, and I looked over and saw it, and I don't know if that was a Bigfoot, but it certainly was an odd place for someone to be walking,
At that
covered,
time,
yeah,
yeah.
covered in all black, and that large.
Wow. I say you had that experience. I don't deny that at all.
I don't know what it was, but I like to think it was Bigfoot.
Oh, that's what we'll go with that then.
There you go.
I know all too well about the paranormal. Like I said, the people that's in chat, they've already heard my story
Yep.
many times, so I'm not going to go into it again. But let's just say, Reader's Digest version, do not mess with the Ouija board. That
Oh
was
no.
my mistake. And I was using it alone.
Oh no.
And I was 22 years old. I'm slightly older than that now, and I've never forgot it. I've never touched a Ouija board since.
Yeah, that's something that I've always for some reason, I've always had this sort of like, it terrified me, the thought of that. Demons
Yeah.
terrified me. And so that was something that I never even thought about playing with. So,
Well, long story short, like I said, I'm sorry for the people in the chat that's heard this story already, but I'll give you the Reader's Digest version. I was living in an apartment. I lived there a year and a half, and I was 21, 22. Well, I was talking to the landlord's daughter one day, who's also my age at the time, 21, 22, and they've been managing that apartment complex for a long time, and she happened to mention that somebody years ago in the apartment I was living in was actually murdered there.
oh wow.
So instead of just leaving that alone, trying to forget about it, no, I want to conjure the person up.
Oh no.
Well, let me just, long story short, the person you try to contact is not what comes through that board.
No.
And it was hair-raising and horrifying, to say the least. And
Right.
it convinced me, yeah, it was terrible. I'll tell you offline, because I know the people in the chat have already heard this story. So
Sure.
it's pretty bad. So just, I'll take it from me. You've already, Mike, you've got the right idea. Don't use a Ouija board.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I'm sorry you went through that.
Well, hard lesson, right?
That's right. Won't do it again.
No, exactly. What are some of the prices of some of your stuff as far as like your magnets? Are they different prices or like you have a roundabout figure that you sell them for?
No. So I sell all my magnets for the same price. So they're all $20 for the magnets. And then there's a lot of hand crafting that goes into this stuff, but I enjoy doing it. And I really like going to events and talking to people. The coasters are $10 for a set of 4 coasters for the wooden ones, and $20 for a set of 4 of the ceramic coasters. And the hats and the shirts and the acrylic pins, I think the acrylic pins are $7 to $10. I can't remember exactly. The LED signs are around 30, and again, all the same price. The hats and the shirts are slightly different because those have different
Sure.
manufacturers, and it's all print on demand. So they're between $25 and $30.
That's good. That's good prices. So,
Yeah, I try. I'm not. I have no illusions that I'm going to be a millionaire off this website, but I do enjoy like spreading the joy that I get out of the cryptids.
well, they say that if you like what you do, it's not really a job. So
That's
it's
right.
not like you found that niche. And to the new people that's just tuned in to chat, I've got his website up here, and it's Cryptid Curiosities, but it's very, very important. Curiosities is spelled wrong. So I'm going to, those of you that might be just listening to this on audio only, let me just spell it out. It's CRYPTID, and then it's CUROSITIES.com. So, yeah, Curiosities is deliberately misspelled, so he is completely aware of that. So,
Yeah.
no nasty grounds.
And I should be ashamed of myself because I'm a university professor, but in this instance, again, I'm not going to spend $1,200 for an eye.
Well, you mentioned the products that you sell. Do you already have like the designs you want, or like could John Doe email you and say, "Hey, I got an idea for this. Can you do this? Can you do custom artwork or no?"
Absolutely. Yeah, I can do custom artwork. As a matter of fact, there's some things that I have that I've made that I can't sell on my website. So for instance, I have like a Batman type creature. It's not like the DC Batman. It's not their
Yeah.
design, but it's my own design of what I think Batman, a steampunk version of Batman or a 1800s version of Batman would look like.
Uh-huh.
But because it's a copyrighted thing, they're really
Yeah.
not happy with that sort of stuff. But if there is something that you want me to do custom, there's only 2 ways that we can go about it. The first one is I do a very custom one for you and nobody else gets it, and that's going to cost you way more money. Or I do it, and if it's something that I think will sell, I just make more of them and I give you the one that you've asked me for the same price, $20, and I just sell other ones at $20 myself. So
Okay.
the other one that would be custom is probably going to be like $300 or $400, just because there is a time
Sure.
sink into it. But like if I make one thing and I sell it 100 times, then I've made my money back on the time consumption. But something else that some people have talked to me about, one person was saying I should do custom pinball machine pulls, like sculpting those things. They said there's huge market for that. But
Oh, I haven't heard that. Oh, wow.
yeah, apparently there's a lot of people who customize their pinball machines and they want to buy like their own custom pull for the ball, you know.
I didn't think about that. That would be an interesting concept.
And there's some things that I'm really wanting to do as well. Like when I lived in Seattle, like you saw the chainsaw statue Bigfoot everywhere,
Mm-hmm.
and I really want to do like a tabletop size that you can put on your desk. Sculptures that I make that look like chainsaw sculptures that I can
Oh,
do
yeah.
with the 3D printing and make resin versions of those. I've already made one. I just need to come up with some better designs, and then I'll start selling those as well.
Sounds great. I'll ask you the same question I've asked other people on this show that's really into cryptids and very interested. And just, again, this is an opinion show.
Sure.
I'm open to all ideas. So, in your opinion, where do you think cryptids came from? Where did they originate from? I mean, just in your opinion.
So I think this is going to be probably controversial a little bit.
No. This is an opinion show, free thought.
Yeah.
So just whatever. I respect all opinions because I really don't know. I mean, I've been around a lot of people that's into cryptids, and I've heard all kinds of theories and I've heard all kinds of things out there. So I'm open to all ideas. So go
For
ahead.
sure. I think there's this supernatural element to it that could be related to the fallen angel theory, like
Sure.
Nephilim. Again, I don't know. There's been talk of, so for instance, if you go back in history, like there was in Roman times, there was this tribe of dog-headed people called the Cynocephali, right? Which could be dogman. That could be a race of people that were part of that. I almost feel like I'm on Ancient Aliens. Could it be? But I do feel like there's some sort of like supernatural element to it, because if you look at the Bible, the fallen angels came down to Mount Hermon with their technology, and they made a pact or a deal with the humans to marry their daughters, and they had offsprings which were abominations, right? And if you read the Bible, before Noah's times, there was this whole thing about the abominations on the earth and afterwards, which means that some of them escaped the flood, which means they could still be around. And the abominations weren't just between the angels and humans, but also all the beasts of the forest. So who knows where they came from? But I feel like there's some sort of supernatural element to it, because you'll hear flesh and blood stories, which could be the human side of whatever that creature is, but they also have supernatural elements as well. Like people say they see them, like a golden orb comes out of the sky and then they walk out of that orb. It could be interdimensional. And again, that could also be part of the fallen angel theory.
Okay, interesting. That's very interesting.
The more we talk about like quantum mechanics and quantum theory, the more the implausible starts sounding plausible, because they have the people that are making quantum computers, they really don't know how they work. So, but they do. And that's kind of concerning a little bit, like messing with stuff that you don't really understand. And it feels like there could be some sort of like element of pulling information from another dimension. And the thing that's interesting about other dimensions is like any person on a dimension would not be able to discern the person in the dimension above them. So if somebody's in a 2D plane, they really wouldn't be able to discern us in 3D, and we might not be able to discern someone in 4D. So kind of an interesting conundrum, or it could just be like a evolution thing, but I don't have any answers. I
just want to get an opinion. I always get opinions, and and I'll give you my opinion. Or let's switch over to aliens now.
Sure.
Again, I don't have any proof. This is just my hypothesis myself. I fail to believe that as large as our galaxy is, and there are millions of galaxies out there, I cannot believe, and I fail to believe, that we are the only species, and I would say intelligent species, out here in this vast, not just our universe, but universes beyond.
Right.
So I am a firm believer that there are beings out there that are far more advanced than we are, and that I
Sure.
think we have been visited. So, what's your opinion about that?
I, I I think that all goes back again. I'm gonna like pull that all into the same sort of
Okay,
circle. For me, it's I think that's all part of like if you look at a fallen angel as someone who's bringing technology, couldn't that also be an alien? Right.
well, that's true. Yeah.
So again, I don't know. And if they did come and they tampered with our DNA, like to move us into this new evolutionary process where we were stuck in some sort of like primitive state, and then they added, like if you look, for instance, the difference between apes and humans, I think we're missing two DNA strands. They call it junk, or no, I'm sorry, we have two more, but they call it junk DNA.
Hmm.
But is it really? And where did those two other DNA strands come from? So I don't know if that's
Haven't
from,
heard that.
yeah. So like apparently at some point something's tampered with our DNA to get us to make this evolutionary jump. And I think all of that, everything sort of ties in together. I mean, we could even do I make video games. We could even start talking about simulation theory and how that's all probably possibly part of it as well. So I'm open to everything.
Me too.
I believe it all. Let's go.
It sounds like, it almost kind of sounds like Planet of the Apes in a way.
That's right. That's right. It's really interesting regardless of what you believe. I think it's bad science to discount anything. So a lot of people discount things as like there's no proof, but science does. It's not supposed to do that. I should say. What science is supposed to do is go like, yeah, there's no proof yet, but we'll just
Yet.
keep looking. We'll just keep looking, and eventually we're going to have some answers, and those answers may be wrong, but we'll keep
Hmm.
looking. So, and I think that's what a lot of people get into this situation where they think there's no proof, therefore it's not real. And I think that's discounting like how magical our world is and how magical the universe is, and how magical we are.
Absolutely. You got to make a hypothesis. I
Yeah,
mean, every scientist that has discovered something has always have to have a theory. You got to start somewhere with a hypothesis, and you can either prove or disprove it.
right.
So I don't fault anybody for trying to research anything.
Yeah,
Make a theory and a hypothesis, and then just go around proving it.
that's
Unfortunately, I
right.
think we live in such a negative society that people have a set mind. They got these blinders on that
Yeah.
they're not open to any other ideas.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
I have friends that tell me I have a tinfoil hat on. I'm like, absolutely, I do. I'm okay with that.
And that's a problem because that's what I would say. Oh, boy. What was the name of that movie? Signs.
Yeah,
When
that's
they
right.
had the tinfoil hat. Yeah.
Perfect.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
and like I think I don't discount anybody's opinions or anybody's experiences
Yeah, I don't
because
either.
they're not mine, and
Yeah,
everybody's reality is slightly different.
absolutely. In fact, Radio Vault has got he joined in the conversation. He actually said evolution is the theory, not solid.
Right. Yeah.
Oh,
Theory is not proven. It's a theory.
good words.
Yeah. And people forget that. Anything that's a theory is not proven yet. If it stops being a theory and becomes a fact, then it's proven.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Exactly. You got to do what they call the little, what do you call it? The litmus test, make sure. So,
And sometimes there has been times where there's like, oh, well, this is proven, and then come back later on, further scientists and further scientific experiment says, no, you were wrong. I mean,
it goes
bloodletting,
both ways. Yeah. Hmm.
bloodletting, and some people still do bloodletting, and they're like, it works, and you're like, does it though? Like, and there's certain sort of cultural healing practices that actually work, whereas
Hmm.
science says those don't work, but they've measured results. So how can it not work and have results? You know?
Yeah, I agree. Wow. I was going to ask you, is there on your website, which I'll
Mhm.
bring up again, is there a way that people can contact you personally?
Uh, you know, I'll have to take a look. They should be able to.
I see one called Contact, but I want to make sure that was still
Contact's fine. The other one is just use Mike at crypticcuriosities.com.
okay.
just Mike at crypticcuriosities.com.
Spelled the same way, right? The C-U-R?
Yeah, CUROSITIES. Yeah,
Cool.
I really did want to spell it correctly. I just didn't want to spend the extra because this is a hobby of mine, right? This is not my full-time job. Like I said, I'm a professor at a university, so that's my full-time role, and this is a hobby that I do when I get home and on weekends when there's events.
Now, you mentioned earlier at the start of the show that there's another event you're going to be going to, like right before Halloween. Do you have a schedule? I mean, like a regular schedule where you're going to be like in October, November, December, or just whenever you see a new event out there?
Yeah, it's whenever I see a new event. Like for instance, the one that I just talked about that's happening this coming. October 29th. This one is, I was at this last event and someone told me about it and they handed me a flyer and asked me to go there. So
Oh, wow.
that one's happened. I also have one that's the Jefferson Bigfoot Conference. And
Oh, that's coming up pretty soon.
October 20th. So I'll be at that one as well. The only other event that I know for sure that I'm going to be at right now, which is a big one for me, is Monster Fest, and that's in Canton, Ohio. And that's June 20th of 2024. And what's great about that is that those are the people that are running that event are the people that have the name of the company is Small Town Monsters, and they do documentaries.
Wow.
And they've only allowed 60 vendors at the event. So
You're one of them, right?
One of the vendors. So
Congratulations. You'll be able to sell more of your wares there, I'm sure.
I hope so. And I plan on having I continuously add stuff. So different creatures. I just added the alien that you saw, and then there's the Flatwoods monster that I added, and also a mantis style alien as well. So those are 3 brand new magnets that I've just created, and I plan on doing more. And someone has asked me to do Loch Ness Monster and some of the other like lake monsters, so I plan on doing that as well. I've got to do the Oklahoma octopus at some point.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you mentioned the mantis monster. It almost sounds like the Mothman.
Yeah, they're very similar. The mantid style aliens, they have the mandibles, and their heads are sort of more triangular shape. And their eyes are sort of slanted more like a mantis. And then the Mothman, I've just got big round, sort of almost like fly eyes, and they glow red, and then the fur is black. And then the mantis creature is more of a green and like really shiny iridescent colors.
Oh, interesting. Oh, wow. So do you have, like you said, you got wares with the mantis monster, right?
Yeah, I had 2 of them made for this event.
Cool.
And I didn't have enough to. I had a very I had a 2-week window. I almost sold out of everything at the Paranormal Roundtable Dogman event. And so I had like 2 weeks to just really bust my tail to get all of it done and ready for the event. And I put a lot of effort into getting ready for that We Are Not Alone in the Universe one. And I didn't sell as much there as I would like to have. However, that means that I don't have to work as hard for the October 20th one, which I'm super grateful for because I was tired.
I like going to the Jefferson one, but and I've been there the last 3 years, but just this year, a lot of things are going on with me. I'm going to have to miss it this year, but maybe next year. It's because I've been there, like I said, 3 times, and it's always been very interesting and very, very intriguing.
It's great, and this one has Dr. Maria Meyer in it from Expedition Bigfoot, so she's going to be there this time.
Oh, I hate missing that. Well, I hope somebody records it. I'd love to see that later.
I'll talk to Craig. I think Josh Turner did a great job. I'm sorry, the cleaner is trying to get in my office.
Okay, we're almost done, but go ahead.
That's okay. So Josh Turner from Paranormal Roundtable, he recorded the entire event for
Good.
And so you can capture that on their website. I believe they have it where you can watch the event, and I think that's such a great idea for people that weren't able to make it. And so I'll talk to Craig Woolheater when I go to that event in Jefferson. And Jefferson's such a great little town. It's just beautiful.
It is.
I really enjoyed it there. And I know that they have more than one of it. There was a ghost tour one, I think, that was happening
Yes.
this last weekend. And then there's the one in October. And then he also runs the one in Fouke, Arkansas, or for the Boggy Creek Monster. And I usually go to those two regularly.
Perfect. Well, Mike, we're almost out of time, but I do want to promote your website one more time, ladies and gentlemen. That's cryptidcuriosities.com. But make sure you misspell. Make sure, look, Curiosities is spelled CUROSITIES.com. And yes, that was on purpose. So
keep that eye out for all those cryptids.
Exactly. That's a good way to look at it. So if you want some great art and 3D magnets, cryptids, aliens, paranormal, this is the guy you want to talk to. There's his website right there. Well, Mike, I appreciate you being on the show. We've had a really good time tonight, and I wish you all the best, and hopefully sometime you can come back on the show again.
I appreciate it, and thank you so much for having me. I really didn't know what we were going to talk about, but I'm glad we talked.
Okay. Have a good one, Mike. Thank you.
Right. You too.
And ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for tonight's episode of the Van Buren Variety Show. Again, this was episode 130. 130 guests and 130 topics. Well, I've had a great run with this show. I do not have a guest next week. Actually, there will be a Tuesday show, a short Tuesday show, but I have a special announcement regarding Van Buren Variety, so I hope you'll tune in for that. And until then, though, I hope you all have a great week. Don't work too hard. Don't let the boss whip you into shape. So for me, this is Bob Van Buren for the Van Buren Variety Show. Good night, everybody.